Hi guys, welcome back to Benmore CrossFit. Our workout today is an absolute sprint. It should probably take you 5 to 7 minutes, thereabouts. So let's just have a look at it. It's a structure that a lot of you will be familiar with. 21, 15, 9, 4 time. It has thrusters, and don't worry, it doesn't have pull-ups, it's not Fran. It has sit-ups instead, okay? So you will do 21 thrusters. Of course, I'll demo what those are for those of you who aren't familiar. Then you'll do 21 sit-ups, then you come back, you do 15 thrusters, 15 sit-ups, 9 and 9. Okay. RX weight for the guys are 43 kgs and 30 kgs for the girls. Okay, that's the full version. If you're working with a limited equipment, then rather than use a barbell for your thrusters, you will use a kettlebell, dumbbell, or your odd object. Sit-ups are just sit-ups. And then we have scaled options. So regardless of whether you're working with a limited equipment or whether you're working with the full option, you can scale by thinking about the weight that you use for your thrusters, and you can scale by thinking about the type of setup that you do. Okay, so I just want to clarify that working with a limited equipment does not automatically mean that you're scaling. And equally, just because you have all of the equipment does not automatically mean that you have to work RX. Okay, so there are 3 different components: full equipment, full RX'd, limited equipment, RX'd, and then either one of these before, but scaled based on your ability. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep, should take about 5 to 7 minutes. It's an absolute sprint. And the reason that I say it should take you 5 to 7 minutes is not, so let's imagine it takes you 12 minutes or you had a terrible workout. Nope. It's just that the intended stimulus behind this workout is hyper intense. It's a sprint, it's the CrossFit equivalent of just a pure sprint. And if it ends up taking you 12 minutes, then you've worked a different energy system and you've trained a different element within your capacity, and that's okay, but it's not what we're trying to achieve today. So you will definitely need to make sure that you can move, particularly the thrusters, at a specific pace, and we'll talk about that whenever we get onto the thrusters. Okay, just so you can gauge, have I got the right weight to move at the appropriate speed? Again, hope that makes sense. Okay, so warm up, 5 minutes of your regular row, run, or skip. Heart rate up, body temperature up. Okay, and then we're going to do 3 rounds of 10 air squats, followed by 5 sit-ups, followed by 5 strict presses per side. Okay, so air squats, really simple. All of you guys should be pretty familiar with this by now. Where do you want me, Sarah?
I'm going to go here.
No, I can
get a better angle, you see.
Okay, so feet approximately between hip and shoulder width apart. Chest stays up. Tummy is fat, not tummy is sucked in, tummy is fat. Arms are up. Sit down in a chair. And stand. And stand. That's it. Simple. Things to note when you're squatting, do your heels come off the ground, something like this, like that. Do your knees go in? Ooh, bad, no. Does your back round? Okay, so think about chest up, bum back, heels down. Okay, so 10 air squats followed by 5 sit-ups. Now, using one of these today. If you don't have one of these, not a problem. Take a towel, roll it up, and put it underneath the small of your back. If you do have one of these, fat side goes to the fat side. Well, too many people put the skinny side and under their back. No, it's the fat side. Alright, so 5 sit-ups. So, full version, butterfly your feet. Put your feet together. Come back until your shoulder blades are on the ground. Sit up, touch the ground in front of you. Watch where my hands go, they don't go over my head. Okay, that's the first option. Second option, if that just feels a little bit too difficult, all the way back, hands over your head, flick your hands forward and set up at the same time. So you throwing your hands forward gives you a little bit of forward momentum. Next option from that, if that feels too difficult, place your feet approximately shoulder width apart and sit up. And sit up. Reason for that is you can recruit muscles in your quads a little bit. If that feels too difficult again, then take your hands up behind your head and sit up. And sit up. Okay, so you get 4 different options for your sit-ups. Alright, so 5 sit-ups and then 5 strict press per side. So take a weight, doesn't matter what weight, take a weight. Give you as simple as a bag of sugar. Pop it up onto your shoulder, elbow pointed forward, tummy is fat, bum is tight, thighs are tight, nothing else moves. Push your hand up like this. Okay. Nod off to the side. You know this kind of weird thing. Elbow out to the front as far as your anatomy allows you to. I mean, it has to turn a little bit to finish the movement, but your elbow should be at the front for most of the movement. Okay, so 10 air squats, 5 sit-ups, and 5 strict press per side times 3. Okay? And then we're going to get into our pass-throughs and fire hydrants. So pass-throughs start off with their feet as wide apart as they need to be, okay? And what I mean by that is you start with your legs completely straight, or as straight as you can make them. Fold in the middle and come onto the floor into your plank position. From here into your downward dog position. You should have a straight line from your hips to your wrists as you can make. And then twist to the left, twist to the right, and stand without bending your legs. So 5 pass through, followed by 30 fire hydrants per side. Fire hydrant starts on all fours. Lift your knee out to the side, push your leg back, come round. Knee out to the side, push your leg back, round. %. And try not to allow your hips to open up like this, like tilt, do something weird. Try and keep your hips square as possible. So 5 pass through, followed by 30 fire hydrants per side, times 2. Okay, so let's think about our thruster. And I'm going to demo this with both a barbell and a kettlebell. And if you're using an odd object, then it'll apply just as equally to you as well. So let's think about, first up, particularly if you're using a barbell, let's think about getting your front rack warmed up. This doesn't apply just so much if you're using a kettlebell. So take your bar, full grip on the bar, and lift your elbows up. Whenever we were doing this, Sarah was commenting upon how she was guillotining herself. And it does feel a little bit like that. Okay. So 2 sets of 10, and then we'll get into our front squat. Okay, front squat. Shoulders approximately somewhere between hip and shoulder width apart, just exactly the same as we were doing with our air squats. Keep your shoulders up, bum is tight, sorry, tummy is tight, break the bum. Similarly, if you're doing it with your kettlebell, just like this. Okay. So I want you to do a set. I'm going to demo these and then I'm going to give you the rep ranges. Front squat. Strict press. Elbows are in front of the bar, but they're pointing down, so they're not here like they are in the front squat. You need to be here. And strict press. Keep everything tight, so tummy tight, bum is tight, eyes are tight. Push it up your head. Push press has a little dip at the knees, explosion at the hip, and then we push over. So it looks like this. Imagine some kind of ricochet effect. Yeah? So the power starts here, and you do not push your bar or your weight over your head until you've fully extended your legs. Squeeze your bum as tight as you can. There you go. I'll show you these two movements with kettlebell. So kettlebell, we did strict press in a warm-up, and then push press. And then that's just in case you put them together. So it's front squat, followed by push press. Like something like this. Hopefully I got my timing in that right.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very light.
Mm-hmm.
And with a kettlebell, looks like this. Now, if you want to start to think about your timing, then by all means, on the descent, feel free to start doing this. Okay, so that as you're descending from here, you can also descend into your front squat. But most importantly, on the way back up, almost think of them as two separate things. I got a front squat, and then I got to get it over my head. Again, it's that ricochet effect I talked about. Okay, let's just think about the rep ranges for these little drills. So, I want you to do, oops, I'm missing one. That's not so good. Strict press, push press, thruster. Okay. So, times 5, times 5, times 5, times 5, but multiplied by 2, by 2, by 2, by 2. And the reason I've written it like that is I want you to do them all individually. I don't want you to do 5 front squat, 5 strict press, 5, you know, I don't like the way we do our warm-ups. I don't want you to superset them, I want you to do that, and then that, and then that, and then that. Okay, once you're comfortable with, scaling. So, how many, look, if you're working with a fixed weight dumbbell or fixed weight kettlebell, and that's all you've got, that's all you've got. Fine, there's nothing you can do about it. Crack on. If, however, you've got 2 or 3 different dumbbells in the house, or if you're working with a barbell, then you've got some options in terms of your weight. And what weight should you go for? Well, you should go for the weight that means that you can do 11 thrusters, unbroken, no bother. Yeah? So, here, so I want you to do a little test. Okay? And so once you've warmed up your thruster, add on a little bit, if you're working with the bar, add on a little bit of weight. If you're working with the kettlebell and you've got options, you know, move up a weight and see how it feels. And if you can do 11, now it shouldn't be no bother, like it shouldn't be, yeah, I've just done that and hey, I'm not out of breath in the slightest. Yeah. If you can do 9 and then 10 and 11 are a real struggle, perfect, right? So you should be able to do 11 and it feel as if, yeah, I did those, but I was kind of just starting to get to the point of, I don't want to do any more. Perfect. Because in the workout, it's unlikely you're going to do 21 completely unbroken. More likely you're going to do like a set of 10 and a set of 11, or even 3 sets of 7. That's how I do it. But you should be able to do 11 at this stage relatively well. So that just gives you an indication. And if you find that it feels like you've done, you know, you can do 11 now, by the time you go and do the workout, and guess what? It takes you 20 minutes. It probably was too heavy, and you were probably just kidding yourself. Right. So once you feel your setup ready to go, then let's just give it a quick practice. 5 thrusters, 5 setups, 2 rounds, fast as you can. And the purpose for that is just to get your body prepped and primed, ready for what's about to happen. So be quite strict about this. Plus 90 seconds. And then go. Okay? So I don't want you doing your practice and then spending 10 minutes. No. Do your practice. Specifically have 90 seconds on the timer. And then go. Okay? Because I don't want your heart rate coming down too much. I think that's it. Scaling options, like we talked about before, regardless of whether you're going with full equipment or limit equipment, definitely think about scaling your weight and think about scaling the version of the setups that you're going to do. And for me, this workout is just a pure thrusters workout. For me personally, the setups were just, they were a nice way to just lie down for a bit and get my breath back. For you, it might be something different. For you, it might be the setups are a real challenge. That's fine. I'm just giving you, my perspective. So I was putting your finger up, like you need to ask a question.
If I'm being careful about putting weights over my head,
yes.
So would you recommend that you do the workout just front squats, or would you recommend using light to no weight and doing the thruster?
Well, give me an example of why would you be cautious about thinking the weight over your head.
You're recovering from perhaps a heart problem, or
so
something like that.
So it's not just I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah, or blood pressure problem or something like that.
Oh yeah. So first of all, speak to your doctor.
Yes.
100%. And then if definitely front squatting will give you a good chunk of the stimulus from this. If you really were to struggle, I would maybe break it into a front squat and a seated press. Now that'll take longer and it's a slightly different workout, but nevertheless I would probably break the 2 movements up, because if you have got some kind of blood pressure problem that's might be exaggerated whenever you go from the bottom of your squat all the way explosively up into the top of your thruster. So I would maybe do my front squats and then sit down and do seated strict presses or something like that. Yeah. Any problems, to speak to your doctor.
Yes.
Not me. That's just my opinion. Anything else from behind the scenes?
No.
All right, cool. I really enjoyed it. As I say, 5 to 7. So for those of you who are familiar, it's kind of your Fran time. Take off 2 minutes. Thereabouts, I would say. As an approximation. Have fun. Enjoy it. Rest day tomorrow.